So yes, as Heather introduced us, we're like the editorial team of CLOT magazine, and we like to, or what we do is try to collect or compile, broadcast, and promote the crossover of art and science and technology. And today we want to present you some of the latest trends about this crossover of art and science, DIY, and how these can also can get into society. So a little bit of just background. So these disciplines come about because of a very particular socio-philosophical frame, which includes like topics or schools of thought like posthumanism, transhumanism, and also the new epistemological paradigm shift in which we are kind of, well, there's authors that say we are living at the moment. Posthumanism questions concept of like, or concept of language and trans species communication, as well as non-human communication. Transhumanism that also questions the ethics and the uses of emerging technologies to enhance human condition. And this new epistemological paradigm shift, which has been given by like the entrance in the Anthropocene period, which is like the period that they, like author says, we're living at the moment, in which the humans have a very strong impact in our environment, and also like the coming of the biotechnology revolution. In a more practical frame, these disciplines that we're gonna give you examples about today, or some authors, some artists. These are like hybrid art, biorobotics, cyborgs, and body hacking. So for hybrid art, which was a term coined by Ars Electronica, hybrid art is a new discipline in which artists work in areas of science and emerging technologies, usually along with scientists. Sometimes artists can be scientists at the same time, in fields such as biology, robotics, physical sciences, or experimental interface technologies. We would like to show you the work of Guy Benary and his CLF. So Guy is an artist that is based at Symbiotica in Perth, and his work specializes in cybernetics, robotics, and in the interface with biological material. He also uses a lot of like tissue culture, biotechnology techniques, and CLF, in which you have a picture here. It's just like this big thing, is described as like what he says is the first neural synthesizer, and conceptually it addresses epistemological concerns related to new biotechnologies. So for this project, the artist took a sample of his skin, or a biopsy, and he obtained the stem cells. With those stem cells, he managed to differentiate them into neurons. So he was able to obtain his own neurons, artificially created or lab-created neurons. He seeded the neurons in sort of like a chip which was connected to some electrodes. And so then, with the help of a sound engineer, they built these synthesizers and neural interfaces, and there's like other scientists involved, in which there's like a cell, like a small, very small cell culture room, which like the cells are placed here and they're kept at like 37 degrees with a certain amount of CO2, which is like the usual like cell culture conditions. And then these cells are connected to an input and an output. The input is a musician, like you could see. So like the musician plays music, and that's like it's transmitted to the cells, and the cells are activated, or the neurons. And then these neurons fire, and then when they reach a potential of activity, they transmit to these synthesizers, and then play music. It's a really beautiful project. I'm gonna try. There's a video here, but you can hear the sound of the neurons playing. To give you like an idea how these cells sound when they and also like what this project does is like raises a lot of questions about are these cells or like these semi-living entities are a musician or are an instrument, and also the fact that like they're from the same artist. This is a representation of the artist itself, and the establishment of the communication with the other artists, like the other musician playing. So it's a very interesting project which we are trying to bring to London. Like we want to apply for what we've been encouraged to apply to a Wellcome Trust grant. So I'll see if that would be very interesting.
Next year.
Yeah.
The next topic is biorobotics. According to the Institute of Electronica and Electronic Engineers, biorobotics can be defined as a research field which involves any use of mechatronic systems to better understand complex living or biological organisms. The first artist is Leonardo. He started in the 80s working on biorobotics. He's a pioneer. He's a professor in Ohio State University where he teaches bioart, robotics, and prototyping. His work focuses on trans-species communication and as well on researching methods to understand animal, insect, and bacterial cultures, how they behave, interact, self-organize, to use them as models for emergent machine intelligence. This work here is augmented virtual realities, which is our distinction at Ars Electronica, I think in 2004. His last project is Spider House Movies. This one is an algorithmic video work in which a common house spider controls a film about spiders. When the spider is not moving, the projector plays a film about the spider. And when the spider here moves, the projector stops playing this film and starts playing what the spider is doing. So the next artist is Gilberto Esparza. He's a Mexican. He's living and working in Mexico City. He is Golden Nike at Ars Electronica 2015 in hybrid art category. With this work here, Plantas autofotosyntheticas. He explores the interaction and the impact of the human technology with the environment through technologies, biotechnology, and robotics. With these plantas autofotosyntheticas, Gilberto, he said this metabolic process, bacterial, plant, and animal biochemistry integrated with a robotic interface. It's a kind of self-generating system where contaminated water can be used as an energy source. thing is cyborg, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, cyborg is a person whose physical tolerances or capabilities are extended beyond normal human limitations by a machine or other external agency that modifies body's function. It can be said that it's an integrated machine system. The first person working on cyborgs was Kevin Warwick. He's Deputy Chancellor at Warwick University, where he teaches artificial intelligence, robotics, and biomedical engineering. He was the first who did pioneering experiments by implanting a chip in his arm about the 90s. In more recent, he's working on an intelligent computer, I think trying to figure out how to predict Parkinsonian tremors. The first project that Kevin did was Cyborg 1.0, where he tried to answer the question, what happens when a man is merged with a computer? To do this, he implanted a silicon chip in his forearm, and through a computer, he could monitor the movements, which allowed him to operate doors, light heaters, and other computers. In 2002, he implanted a 100 electric array, and with this, he could control an electrical wheelchair and this artificial hand that you are seeing here. Neil Harbison is a cyborg and he's a cyborg as well an artist. He's half Catalonian, half British. Now he lives in Barcelona, and he was born with achromatopsia, which is an absence of vision color. He was the first person with an antenna implanted in his school and as well recognized as a cyborg by a government. It was by the British government, not the Spanish one. And this happened when he had to renew his passport. After hundreds of letters, the government, they allow him to take the picture with the antenna. With this antenna, he is able to listen to the colors, because the antenna reports information about electromagnetic radiation, phone calls, music, video, and images, and translate them into sounds that he can hear. As an artist, he has three main projects. It's color concerts, sound portraits, and city colors. In the first one, he painted a piano with different colors, and then, using the antenna, he played frequency with the colors, and he composed a melody. With some portraits, they created portraits of the people listening to the color of the faces. And city colors, he was traveling around Europe, trying to find the main colors of the capital cities and then translate it into sounds. Repeating the body hacking tool of body hackers, which body hacking is defined as a modification with do-it-yourself cybernetic devices and or DIY body enhancements to augment human capabilities and body performance. And in words of one of these body hackers, the end goal is to transcend the boundaries of biology and try to hack evolution itself. One of these main, or one of the pioneers of this body hacking movement is Tim Cannon, which is the co-founder of Grindhouse Wetware. I think they're based in LA. And with Grindhouse is a biotechnology company that creates technology to augment human capabilities. He was one of the first persons to be implanted with a biometric sensor, Circadia, which is that very big thing he implanted under his forearm skin. This Circadia gadget could mimic bioluminescence with subdermal LEDs, which are used like this green lighting here, and
the purpose was to illuminate his tattoo, and also it sent Canon's temperature to his phone. I think he had to have it removed after 6 months or so. It doesn't look, this picture doesn't look very healthy, and it's so big. And I think that what we, at the moment, he has radio frequency identification tag in his hand, and also magnetic implants in finger, wrist, and tragus. Then Gabriel Licina, which is one of our biohackers. He works as a testing consultant for Science for the Masses and testing the ideas of the grinding community for functionality and feasibility. So basically, he's a guinea pig. For this project, like we're presenting, he used night vision eye drops to give night vision. It was like 50 meters in the dark for like a very short period of time. I think it was like just 1 minute or just very short time. A chlorophyll analog called chlorine E6, which is found from deep sea fish, and they injected, as you can see in the picture, 50 microliters of this compound, drop by drop into his eyes, and then the effects were kicking within an hour, and yes, it was like definitely he could see in the dark. So after giving you some examples of these disciplines, I would like to talk to you about like what are the very ultimate trends and tendencies or so. And this like what is next. And one of these disciplines that the artists are working a lot is in interspecies and trans-species communications, as well as non-human communications. And one artist is Guaishan, so his audiovisual installations reflect on the meditation between ants and human as a metaphor for non-human ecology. And this project, Oh My God, is an artistic research that approaches the self-organization in ants as a cybernetic system with emerging acoustic manifestations. We had a video to play, but I'm not sure.
But they also use it, for instance, when they have to dig up material where there's a network underground. So it's very flexible. And these vibrations are frequencies that can be amplified by using contact microphones. So there's one contact microphone here and another one there. But of course, they don't do it the whole time, especially being an artificial ecosystem. They don't have a predator inside. So there's not much stress by now. So there's a point where the colony finds a status quo or a obvious status where they just focus on work right now, for instance, transportation and rearrangement of the cotton leaves to bring it to the fungus. So this vibration is very similar to the scratching of the turntables and how it's produced and how it sounds.
So Glenn Mayer is an artist that works with insect communication and these interspecies dialogues, trying to erase these cross evolutionary boundaries, and she works with ants and worms and beetles to explore all of these issues. Also, Oscar Martin, which is an experimental artist. He's Spanish. He's based in Barcelona at the moment, and he works in the field of standard and interactive and generative systems. And his project, Bionic Sound Machina, No Human Composer, is an installation that aims to create a bioartificial ecosystem, which consists on a slime mold, like the Physarum polycephalum, as a non-human sound composer, and also an artificial pseudo-intelligence based on genetic algorithm.
The post-biological evolution driven by artificial intelligence and technology getting into society. Here we are going to talk how artificial brains and hybrid artificial intelligence combine the strengths of the machine learning and software with the expertise of the human intuition. The first example is in business. artificial intelligence. It has been used in business intelligence and cybersecurity. There are a group at the MIT researchers. They are working in protecting and monitoring networks and data to identify new and complex threats. And then the analysts, they can predict much better. The second one is they are working in emotions and pattern recognition for cognitive service. Here we can see that all the big giant companies are investing in cognitive service. For example, Google bought the startup DeepMind, Microsoft has the project Oxford, Amazon acquired a few months ago Orbios for social recognition. Apple is working in Siri, and he bought these two startups, and as well IM has developed the Watson computer for cognitive service. The third one is in medicine, to identify cancer cells based on blood samples. At CLOT University, there are researchers who are working with microscope and artificial intelligence algorithms that can pick up at cancer and not destroy the sample, which is really important when you are working with cancer. The microscope, they break the long like pools and they translate into lines, and then the computer can read the diameter and the light absorption of the sample. So according to this, the scientists can know if it's cancer or not. And the last one is in art. There are a group of researchers working in Tokyo to recreate black and white photographs into full colors, and they have done this through artificial intelligence, because the hybrid artificial, they can recognize the different colors of the buildings and then color them accordingly. This one you can have some bibliography that we think that is really important, and on the websites of the things that we talk. That's all. Thank you.
So if you haven't come across CLOT magazine before, the web address was up there. There we go. Fantastic collection of essays, articles, visual portfolios. We saw just a few this evening, but yeah, really interesting pulling out those two things. There's a kind of development of the technological and the interface between the human and machine, and also the interspecies thing of looking at simple yet complex systems within nature. I'll throw it straight out. Question here or comments? Any others on top hands? Okay.
Hello. I was just thinking about Neil Hobson and the status as being declared as a cyborg. So I was wondering, would those who are stents and implants, like artificial heart valves, also be recognised as cyborgs, since they're both organic and mechanical body parts? I guess Hobson's colour blindness was aided by the antenna, and someone with a heart valve would also be helped. I mean, I don't know if it's because the procedure wasn't as routine as that. It was sort of like a novelty sort of thing that they might declare status as.
Can you forward the question again?
Well, I was just wondering about why it would be that he'd be declared as a cyborg, and how that would link in with people who sort of have like artificial heart valves and things like that. Those sort of seem quite routine. Well, maybe not routine, but
So you asked at what point does one become a cyborg?
well,
In terms of technical intervention.
Would those also be considered cyborg?
Just somebody with a dialysis.
Well, it is a trajectory, isn't it? You know, a spectrum from being what is pure human.
Glasses even,
Any technology.
beginning to that.
Yeah, but what?
Well, since it seemed to be turning into a free-for-all, I was going to make a comment that because the definition of cyborg up on the slide was something that enhances a capability beyond the human norm. All of the things that you mentioned are things that simply restore function. Now, if, for example, you had some kind of retinal implant that gave you the tetrachromatic vision that a few women have but most people don't have, then that would probably count as a cyborg, but a heart valve is merely doing something that your body should be doing by itself.
So whether it's reparative or an enhancement beyond. Mary Helen at the back.
I was just going to make the comment in response that it's quite similar to my research on the difference between body modifiers and people pursuing cosmetic surgery, where the difference really between the communities of people that are considered normal but just kind of have surgery versus people that are body modifiers are the kind of normativeness of the surgery, as he was saying. So hearts and hearing implants and things like that are considered more normative, so we probably wouldn't call them cyborgs because they're pursuing something which is returning them to normal or making them more normal in a way, whereas the guy with the antenna is actively working against that norm, so he's actively trying to be something not human, which is the distinction, at least that I found in my own practice.
Do you want to respond to any of those comments before we pass it on?
No, also just I think to add, like cyborg is also I think like a kind of like legal term, yeah, like not legal, but more like legalized, like something that can lead to a legal.
Well, you mentioned that Neil Hobson is recognised by
and
the
definitely
state as a cyborg.
an enhanced capability of a human being. So getting to have something that usually a human being wouldn't have. So like the capacity to communicate with a computer or to see things that usually people don't see, or
I have two questions, but just to continue that thought, you could however argue that if you have an artificial heart implant, you are supernaturally increasing your longevity, which is also a question. It's not just restoring something. And I thought he also he was trying to kind of see or hear color in a sense that he didn't have. So it's also not quite clear whether it's restoring something or giving him something new. And just to maybe finish that, I mean, you could also argue that, for example, implants for the contraceptive control, for example, is another point where it kind of reduces the capability for a while, but gives you increased control. I wanted to know what readership CLOT magazine has and who you're trying to engage, and what kind of modes of engagement, what you want your readership to take away from the magazine.
No, mainly what we want to get is to be a hub for a very specific readership, a very specific our audience, and trying to make aware of things that all the things that are happening, but from a very different perspective of all the creative process. Seems like more conceptual, like engaging with thinkers and creators, as well as the artists, and just show and promote and make people to be in touch with all the different, maybe your artists are in a very specific area, and what we're trying is just to study and research a very range of very varied topics in this art, science and technology, and just put it together. And also when you compile all of different things, that because it's quite recent, well, it's not that recent, but in maybe more academic, say, is quite recent. When you start compiling all this information and what people is doing, then you can see a bigger picture and just write about it and just make people more aware, like that maybe it's like it's a big movement and with different disciplines, and I think that's the main goal.
It's a really interesting and really, I've never known about any of these artists before, so it's really, I find it really fascinating. And a long time ago I used to do medical illustration, so this is actually really interesting for me. But I think that what would be interesting in addition to what you've got is if you found scientists that are doing research into sort of neural implants that sort of augment that side, augment experience as well, but from the scientific side as well. There's one researcher in particular, Laurie Pycroft, who does research at the Nuffield Department of Surgical Sciences, who I think would absolutely love a lot of your work, and you have to get in touch with him because he could provide his scientific research that he's done in trying to see how implants can help restore sense and stuff, but also augment sensation. So he did surgery on himself to implant magnets underneath his fingers, and so he's got this additional sort of tingling feelings that he has in his hands when he sort of touches things that are sort of, ferrous essentially. But that, I think, is, I look at that and I just think he's got to be on there. You've got to find him, and because he'll love you. And he's got magnets in his hands. He did it himself. It's just like, if I want magnets in my fingers, so I cut my fingers up and put it on.
We're also very interested in people have scientific background, so we're very interested in the science behind all these projects. And in the magazine, we still haven't got any scientists, but like we started to also to feature. We want to very actively engage with some of the scientists, which have also interest in our more broad.
And the question of self-experimentation is really interesting between and across the disciplines.
Very interesting presentation, and I don't want to sound like a 19th century person by criticising it, but there seems to be a huge amount of rhetoric. The kind of rhetoric involved was massive, and the language used was very kind of glamorising and not very convincing all the time. The thing about the guy with the neural implants into his the cell F thing, where it says addresses epistemological concerns. It's not clear what those concerns would be. I mean, after all, it's some kind of machine that's got a biological element in it, and it's interacting in some way and creating music. I don't see what epistemological concerns are addressed by that, really. I have those as a musician when I don't know what the hell's going on until I gig.
It's more like his self-embodiment into it's him. In a way, would say it's his brain outside. Becoming his thing is like becoming a rock star without and it's like how this group of cells is it's able to know. It's really complicated to explain. But what would be your thoughts about it?
Well, I just think it's a bit of an exaggerated way of talking about that thing. I can see it's an interesting thing to set up, mechanically and so on, but it doesn't address that language. It's just, there's lots of cases about that. You talk about the spider that guy controlling the film, by falling asleep, so the film switches on. It's not as if the spider's some great, trans-species communicator who decides to project a film. You just nod it off.